Lilu, a bag of dog treats has gone missing. This is quite the mystery. Using my advanced deductive reasoning, I shall investigate the clues. Let's see. Dog treats are missing, and Lilu, my dear, you are a dog. My detective intuition is telling me it was you, Lilu. It was you. There's that guilty look. Pretty much a confession in my book. Solving mysteries isn't so hard. I am a genius. Oh, and by the way, Lilu, you are going to jail. I know. It sucks. I know. I'm sorry. All right, Lilu, it's that time again. Buckle up. Let's talk A Haunting in Venice. A Haunting in Venice is the third in the series from director and star Kenneth Branagh, adapted from the classic Agatha Christie novels about the great adventures of Belgian detective Hercule Poirot. As someone who wasn't a huge fan of the first film, Murder on the Orient Express, as I felt it was entertaining, but was a little too dry for my tastes. As a result, I approached A Haunting in Venice with mild enthusiasm. In fact, I didn't even see the second film, Death on the Nile, as my lack of enthusiasm for the first film, combined with the mediocre trailers for the sequel, made me hesitate to see it. I figured it would be about the same, except on a boat, instead of a train. Don't get me wrong, I love a good whodunit film, as a big fan of the Knives Out films by director Rian Johnson. The key difference are the stories are a little more fun and quirky in Knives Out. It just felt fresh, and the cast really hammed up in fun and interesting ways. So why would I come back to this franchise for the third film after skipping the second? The trailer and the premise of this film piqued my curiosity. From the trailer, it was being marketed as a murder mystery infused with horror elements. This made for an interesting concept that I just couldn't pass up. I'm thrilled to report that this unexpected blend succeeds in breathing new life into the series and the murder mystery formula. While the same formula remains intact, the addition of supernatural elements adds an intriguing layer of uncertainty as Detective Poirot is faced with these ghostly occurrences. It tests his unwavering belief in facts and logic. His struggle with the supernatural forces creates an existential conflict that adds a new depth to the character and the story. It is refreshing to see this conflict in our usually calm and altogether brilliant detective. Like our detective, we are also asking ourselves, can this be real, or are we being conned ourselves? Lilu, are you conning me? Are you just a small child in a dog costume? I'm keeping an eye on you, Lilu. Most of the horror elements in the film come in the form of jump scares, typical of studio horror movies. No? Didn't scare you? Okay. Alright, I tried. So desensitized these days. The trailer might mislead those expecting a full-blown scary movie experience, as the film leans more towards being a whodunit with horror elements, rather than a traditional horror flick. Still, these well-executed jump scares inject a much-needed thrill and energy into what could have been a pretty dry affair. Kenneth Branagh's direction in A Haunting in Venice feels more lively and engaging compared to the previous installments. He seems to be having more fun behind and in front of the camera this time around. I felt the other films in the franchise relied too heavily on questionable CGI, and you really felt the slow-paced runtime. The pacing of this film is tighter, and Kenneth Branagh definitely brings a much more refined visual style to this film. The cinematography adds so much to the overall tone of the film with some truly great camera framing and well-designed, low-angled Dutch camera angles to heighten the rich atmosphere and setting. The film pretty much takes place in one location, in a spooky mansion at night, but the set design and cinematography keep things visually interesting. Filming in the beautiful backdrop of Venice also further elevates the visual appeal of this film. The performances in the movie are all solid, with Kenneth Branagh giving his best portrayal of Hercule Poirot yet. Branagh has much more inner turmoil to play with this time around, which absolutely helps this performance and further development of the character. Michelle Yeoh, fresh off her Best Acting win, was a standout performance as well, and I wish she was just in it longer. Is it just me, or does Michelle Yeoh have issues with chairs in recent films? I did feel Tina Fey was a bit of an odd fit in the film, but I generally am a big fan of hers. While the Knives Out films remain my preferred whodunits, A Haunting in Venice deservedly earns a green light! Green light, Lilu! Third time's a charm for this character. Film successfully adds new twists and turns to the murder mystery formula, blending it seamlessly with elements of horror. As it turns out, Lilu, you might be innocent of stealing the dog treats after all. There has been a lot of spooky stuff happening in this car. I suspect something supernatural might be at play. In fact, they're controlling the wheel right now! Holy shit! Well, I am certainly glad we got to the bottom of that mystery. Now we are ghosts.